From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, Buhari meets Kaduna 23 freed train passengers in Kaduna. 30 drowned in Zamfara, fleeing bandits' attack, 13 bodies recovered. House of Representatives differ with Senate approves 1.7 trillion naira for fuel subsidy. Away from Nigeria, 17 dead, dozens missing in Greece migrant ship sink. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. And now the details. President Muhammadu Buhari met with the 23 freed passengers of the March 28th Abuja-Kaduna train attack on Thursday at the Nigerian Defense Academy Hospital in Kaduna. Before boarding NAV 001 back to Abuja from the Kaduna International Airport, the president made an impromptu stopover at the hospital to see the released victims. Buhari expressed deep appreciation to the Nigerian military for their brave services in securing the safe release of the hostages from terrorists. Before his detour to the hospital, President Buhari had commissioned cadets of 69 regular corps, Army, Navy and Air Force of the NDA in Afaka, Kaduna State. Meanwhile, Professor Usman Yusuf, a secretary of the Chief of Defense Staff Action Committee, believes that the kinetic and non-kinetic approaches to the fight against insecurity challenges are yielding results.
Security is not the responsibility of the military or security agencies alone. Everybody must come in. And us sitting at home and lamenting and saying government doesn't do this, government doesn't do this, God Almighty will ask us all, what did you do? That's why we came in. This is our country. These are our people. And that's why we came in to do our part. And we'll continue to do that. The fact that these 23 people are out is not the end of our job. It's not, our deed is not done. There are many more in the hands of these bandits and Boko Haram all across this country. Our goal is peace for this country, and that's why we came in. And I'm glad the Chief of Defense Staff found this committee useful to complement their kinetic component, and this is a result. There has to be a role for the military, and there has to be a role for the non-military. Putting them together requires leadership. And that is what we have in the Chief of Defense Staff. Thank you very much.
In the meantime, recent deep in abductions cases and the release of remaining 23 abducted train passengers is an indication that the Nigerian Armed Forces are recording a major breakthrough in the fight against terrorism and banditry. The abducted train passengers spent nearly 200 days in captivity. Yusuf Akugu tells us more.
Jubilation and celebration by relatives of victims greeted the news of the release of the remaining captives. These family members of victims could not hide their joy.
What I have to say is Alhamdulillah. All the pain that we have gone through for the past 6 months and 1 week, it has come to an end. They are free now.
For one of the members of Chief of Defense Staff Committee, a team put together by the head of the Nigerian military to ensure safety release of victims, it's an independence gift to Nigeria.
Kudos to the Chief of Defense Staff for his resilience. You know, despite all the challenges, despite the first, he kept on pushing, and eventually the whole thing took place yesterday without a bullet.
These security analysts congratulate the security agencies for restoring the dignity of the nation.
It shows that the security agencies are on top of the game, you know, trying to see how citizens are continuously being protected, properties are also continuously being protected and all that.
Ade Adeogo, the Deputy Chairman, House Committee on National Security, while praising members of the armed forces, say legislature and executive arms, as well as relevant stakeholders, are working together to end issues of insecurity across the country.
Well, I mean, when you look at our reaction to terrorism, to kidnapping and abduction, of persons, so you know that there's a lot we can still do better. I think it's the reason we should all come together and see how we can support the police and the security forces to optimize their performance so that they're able to at least react better and more efficiently. According to him,
the 2023 election is not threatened by insecurity.
Don't forget that we had the 2015 election despite the level of insurgency in the Northeast, and I think what is obtainable now is lower in intensity than it was in 2015. So if we could hold the general election in 2015 successfully, I think we have the capacity to hold the general election in 2023 successfully.
Nigerians hope that with this success, the end to insecurity across the nation is near. Yusuf Akogu, Trust Television News, Abuja.
Now, in a similar vein, President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered service chiefs to replicate their successes recorded in the Northeast to other parts of the country. President Buhari gave the order while reviewing the passing out parade of the 69 regular corps at the Nigeria Defense Academy, Kaduna. Bello Musa reports.
Delivering his address at the graduation of the cadet, President Buhari commended the military for adopting workable strategies in tackling security challenges and rescue the 23 remaining victims of Kaduna-Abuja train attack.
Let me also commend our military for both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches they adopt in tackling some of our security challenges. Just yesterday, relief came for our country as the remaining 23 victims of the March 28 Abuja-Kaduna train attack were released by the heinous terrorists.
According to him, the government is prepared for the evolving and complex security challenges by equipping the armed forces with the requisite resources needed to maintain the sovereignty of Nigeria.
Our tasks as the guardians of the nation are to prepare for the evolving and complex security situations and make sure that no terrorists can threaten Nigeria's sovereignty and integrity. In this regard, I have instructed the service chiefs to replicate the successes in the Northeast in other parts of the country, and I call on all Nigerians to continue to support our armed forces and security agencies.
Established in 1964, the Academy trains soldiers who contribute in maintaining peace and security within and outside the country. The 69 regular corps cadet are the first to benefit from the new capacity-building philosophy of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Staying with security matters, Katsina State Government calls on its citizens not to relent in supporting security forces until the enemies of the state are defeated. The special advisor to the governor, Bello Masari, on security matters, Ibrahim Katsina, gave the charge in an exclusive interview with Abdullahi Ahmadi in Katsina. The report.
The government has severally given assurances that, in spite of all odds, farmers must be secured for this year's farming activities. This is coming to fruition as already over 50% of farm produce has been harvested. The special advisor said that reports of terrorist attacks on farming communities dwarfing the socio-economic development of the state has significantly dropped to the barest minimum.
And when members of the community understand that we are all part of the problem and should be part of the solution, then the end is near. Actually, so far so good, in spite of the pockets of challenges we are facing that are painful, but alhamdulillah, there is a sign of a relief that at the end of the tunnel, peace will reign in Katsina and other parts of the country, inshallah.
Though there are reports of terrorist attacks on some communities in Jibia, Bazari, Kurifi, Dutsuma, and Safana in recent times. The special advisor maintained that the situation is under control.
Challenges we're facing, we're surmounting them, and by the special grace of God, our security forces are living to their responsibilities now. Their response mechanism is more swift than before. People used to complain that when they call the security forces, they don't respond before, but now they do. And as I said, the level of community vigilance is, alhamdulillah, is appreciable.
Even as state-trained vigilantes to assist conventional security forces in confronting the terrorists, the aid is encouraging community policing and participation to achieve the objective.
Because the moment we understand the factors responsible for a problem, it's easy to contain it. We've understood the threats we're facing are community-based. No amount of security measures we put in place can work if the community is not ready to partner with us. So enhancing the level of community synergy, community participation, community cooperation, and by extension, community policing.
Katsina State is battling banditry, activities of miscreants, and petty crimes like car theft and phone snatchings. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Nigeria has recorded a drastic drop in the cases of sea piracy since President Muhammadu Buhari launched the Deep Blue project in June last year. The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NAFASA, Bashir Jamo, said 34 incidents of piracy were recorded last year, but no attack on vessels has occurred this year. The NAFASA Director General updated newsmen at the State House in Abuja on the activities of the agency when he briefed them on Thursday. Kende Amodu has more.
The first thing that comes to mind when the DG of the agency that oversees Nigeria's maritime territory briefs is how safe are Nigerian waters. The DG's reply is very safe. He notes that piracy in the Gulf of Guinea has drastically reduced since the coming into effect of the Deep Blue project, and this has led to the delisting of Nigeria from the piracy red list of the International Maritime Bureau.
From the first quarter to date, we have never recorded one single accident or incident in our own territorial waters in terms of piracy attack. From last quarter of 2021 to date, over a year now, no single attack in our own territorial water. This led to the cancellation of the stigma placed on Nigeria as the most dangerous water and removed from the piracy list in March 2022.
This, he says, has largely contributed to the safety of the Gulf of Guinea, which accounts for 95% of global kidnappings at sea. The second question, of course, is what is Nigeria and especially the agency doing to stop the large-scale oil theft off the shores of Nigeria?
The Deep Blue project is, procured and commissioned to deal with the maritime-related crimes. And I made mention, as at the time of commissioning this project, we have priority to address the issue of piracy within and beyond our territorial waters. And we focus attention on that. Now that we succeeded to a large extent, we will now have to face the issue of oil theft.
If Nigeria continues to maintain the path of maritime safety, it could very well exit the list of countries which have to pay heavily on insurance before vessels visit their countries. To cap its operational achievements, NAFASA has improved contributions to the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the federal government from 31 billion naira in 2020 to about 37 billion naira in 2021. From State House Abuja, Kende Amodu, Trust TV News.
Now, at least 38 persons have died in boat mishaps at Birnin Wadje community in Bukuyum local government area of Zamfara state. They died while trying to cross over the Zoma River to neighboring communities in a bid to escape terrorist attacks in their troubled communities. The incident was said to have happened last Wednesday at about 6:30 p.m. when suspected terrorists invaded the community with sophisticated weapons and started shooting sporadically. The locals narrated that the terrorists abducted an unspecified number of residents, and it is the first time they would witness an attack in their community. Now, away from security matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission has released the final list of candidates that will contest the governorship and House of Assembly election in 28 states of the Federation in the 2023 elections. In a statement signed on Wednesday by the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, the list contained 18 political parties that fielded 837 candidates and their running mates for the 28 governorship elections. The statement also indicated that 10,231 candidates will vie for 993 seats in the state assembly elections. The list also included the names of the running mates to the governorship candidates from the 18 political parties billed to participate in the poll. Over 14 candidates in 12 states have been knocked off the INEC list on account of the litigation and controversies that dogged the party's primary elections. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at how nepotism hinders national cohesion. Details of this and more after the break.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories again. Buhari meets Kaduna 23 freed train passengers in Kaduna. Plus 30 drowned in Zamfara, fleeing bandits' attack, 13 bodies recovered. Now, elsewhere, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has adjourned till Friday, October 7th to rule on an application the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, filed to stay the execution of the ruling of the National Industrial Court that ordered an end to its ongoing strike action. A three-man panel of the appellate court, led by Justice Hamma Barka, said it will also consider the merit in ASU's request for leave to file a comprehensive appeal to set aside the NIC ruling. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu reports.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities, through its legal representative Femi Falana, notified the appellate court of filing an application for permission to formally lodge an appeal against the interim injunction that directed the striking varsity lecturers to return to the classroom. Though ASU earlier filed its proposed 14th ground of appeal, however, going by the provisions of Section 243, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, leave of the appellate court will be required for such appeal to gain validity. ASU maintained that its proposed appeal against the NIC order was based on grounds of law as well as on grounds bordering on fundamental human rights. The union said it is, however, willing to withdraw the application for stay of execution to expedite the hearing and determination matter.
We said that we had joined issues on that matter. We had filed extensive written addresses, and it should be dismissed. So the honorable justices took all the applications. Of course, we raised several other issues that his application was incompetent. He had approached the court with dirty hands. He had not evinced special circumstances and all that. We are saying it is not right to lock out our students who are not parties to this action while the matter is going on. We are also saying it is not right to lock down infrastructure. So much of investments that had been made in educational infrastructure several years that we have been a nation for 8 months.
Representative of the federal government, James Igwe, opposed ASU's application, even as he urged the court to dismiss it for want of competence and jurisdiction, as striking lecturers were yet to obey the order of the industrial court that was made since September 21. On the creation of the Congress of Nigerian University Academics, Falana said the law does not recognize the newly created academic union.
We're going to file any moment from now. The law is clear on classification of trade unions. As far as the law is concerned today, there's only one union for all members of academic staff in all Nigerian universities. Once a union has been recognized to represent a particular cadre of workers, you cannot have 2 or 3.
After the three-man panel of the appellate court, led by Justice Hamma Barka, had listened to both sides, it adjourned the matter till Friday, October 7, for ruling. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Gombe State Governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya has sworn in Justice Halima Mohammed as the acting Chief Judge of the State High Court. Governor Yahaya said the appointment of Justice Halima, who is the most senior in the State High Court, is sequel to the retirement of the State Chief Judge, Justice Joseph Awak. Her appointment comes after the retirement of Justice Joseph Awak, whose confirmation as substantive Chief Judge is less than a year. Governor Yahaya urged the new head of judiciary in the state to take the bull by the horn. Speaking to journalists, Justice Sadia said that she is prepared for the task.
Can only succeed in an environment where the executive, legislature, and the judiciary live in unity, harmony, and mutual cooperation. With this oath-taking, Honorable Justice Halima Mohammed is now the acting Chief Judge of Gombe State and the head of the judiciary, which is the third arm of government, comprising of the High Court, the Sharia Court of Appeal, and the Judicial Service Commission. While discharging your constitutional duties, I have no doubt that will do so without discrimination, fear, or favor. On our part, we'll continue to restate our commitment to respecting the independence of the judiciary according to the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The judiciary needs serious reforms in relation to issues of filing of cases, which is what is making the movement of cases to take a long time. We are going to go e-filing, and we are going to introduce so many issues on computers. We are going to computerize the system in the judiciary so that things will come easy for everybody.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully adhere to the allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
An accident involving a truck has led to the death of 2 people on Lagos-Abeokuta expressway on Thursday morning. The victims died from fire burns. 4 luxurious buses, motorcycles and tricycles were also destroyed by fire from the accident scene. A mobile phone shop and other kiosks were also not spared from the raging fire. Now, hundreds of flood victims in Wuro Boki, a border community of Adamawa and Cameroon Republic, say that they are yet to receive any assistance from the government to help ameliorate the hardship occasioned by the flooding. The victims said that the floods have washed away their farm produce, houses and other properties worth millions of naira. Trust TV's Salis Lawan visited the border community and files in this report.
Even before the flood disaster, the victims, majority of them widows and less privileged, said they could barely feed as a result of the border closure. Madam Abari Omaru is one of the widows and also a victim. Her husband died and left her with 12 children and grandchildren.
I have lost my 2 farms as a result of this flooding. As I speak to you, me, my children and grandchildren sleep outside because our house have been washed away. We find it difficult to feed ourselves. The little capital that I have, which I do petty trading, is no longer available.
Despite this and other challenges, they said government is yet to come to their aid. Our condition here is appealing. Flood rendered us harmless. My children no longer go to school because I cannot afford to pay for their school fees. I don't have capital to trade anymore. As you can see, we sleep outside as the result of the flood. We are appealing to the government to come to our aid and help us so that we can feed ourselves and take care of our domestic needs.
Sometimes I shed tears when I look at these children of mine and grandchildren because of our situation. We have no one to assist us since after the demise of my husband. This flood has just added more hardships to our initial predicament. We really need assistance.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of the Adamawa State Emergency Management Agency, Mohammed Suleiman, has assured of assistance to flood victims across the areas affected. From Yola, Salis Lawan, Trust TV News.
Zamfara state government said it will commence the implementation of the 30,000 naira national minimum wage for civil servants in the state from November 2022. The state acting governor, Senator Hassan Nasiha, disclosed this while signing Memorandum of Understanding with the Zamfara state chapter of the Nigeria Labour Congress in Gusau. The report.
Zamfara state civil servants were not among those who benefited from the implementation of the 18,000 naira national minimum wage, nor the recently approved 30,000 naira national minimum wage, which some states of the Federation had since commenced implementation. However, this may be cheering news for the state civil servants, as the government is looking towards that direction, where the administration promised to soon start the implementation of the 30,000 naira national minimum wage come November 2022. Senator Hassan Nasiha, however, attributed the delay in the implementation of the national minimum wage to the problem of insecurity in the region.
We're here with the Labour members, Labour executives, for the purpose of implementation of 30,000 minimum wage. Alhamdulillah, with the interference of our leaders, God has made it a day today. And inshallah, He has made it possible to see how we can implement 30,000 minimum wage.
The governor has taken the day, because without his support, I couldn't have performed this. So we are implementing our 30,000 naira minimum wage in Zamfara, and inshallah, this will take effect from the month of November. All Zamfara state workers will now enjoy the minimum wage. We are grateful for the understanding, and inshallah, the government will live up to its expectations.
The state's chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Sani Halilu, said the Labour Union had withdrawn their 21-day ultimatum issued earlier to the state government to act on the implementation of the 30,000 naira minimum wage or face a shutdown.
I am very much grateful that expectation become reality. That is to say, our expectation of getting our minimum wage as it is constitutionally is today a reality, because a memorandum of understanding is signed publicly before every government official, including the chairman committee on the minimum wage, the SSG, the head of service, and all stakeholders in the state, including media and the two labor centers.
Zamfara state government and labor unions have agreed to work together to increase the state's internally generated revenue to sustain the welfare of civil servants and people of the state.
Rivers State House of Assembly on Thursday passed a motion to delist Celestine Omahia as former governor of the state. By this motion, the portrait of Omahia in Government House as a former governor will be removed, just as the accrued financial benefits to former governors will be withdrawn. Presenting the motion in the House, the leader of the State Assembly, Martin Amemule, urged the House to reverse an earlier resolution of the 8th Assembly on June 30, 2015, which compelled the executive arm headed by Governor Nyesom Wike to recognize Omahia as a former governor and be accorded all entitlements, privileges and benefits. The former governor was also directed to refund all the money and benefits accrued to him from the day he was recognized as a former governor. Recall that Governor Nyesom Wike, upon resumption of office in 2015, unilaterally recognized Omahia as former governor despite the Supreme Court judgment which voided his election and stated that in the eyes of the law, he never existed as governor despite ruling for 5 months in 2007.
Given the situation, may I now respectfully urge this Honorable House to do resolve as follows. Mr. Speaker, by your kind permission, I would like to read my prayers. 1. We signed the resolution of the Rivers State House of Assembly of 30th June 2015, which called on the Rivers State government to recognize Sir Celestine Omahia as former governor of Rivers State and restoration of his privileges and fringe benefits. 2. Call on the executive governor of Rivers State to de-recognize Sir Celestine Omahia as former governor of Rivers State and also terminate all privileges, benefits and entitlements.
Distinguished colleagues, the results are as follows. Prayer 1, 21 in favor, nil against, abstention nil. Prayer 2, 21 in favor, against nil, abstention nil. Prayer 3, 21 in favor, against nil, abstention nil. Prayer 4, 21 in favor, against nil, abstention nil. final division of the House. Those in favor, 21. Against, nil. Abstention, nil. Therefore, from the results as shown, the House has resolved that the four prayers as canvassed by the mover
The Nigeria Labour Congress is staging a peaceful protest in solidarity with pensioners over their monthly deductions and non-payment of other benefits by the Kano state government. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that the NLC says there are over 30,000 pensioners who are currently suffering from the monthly deduction, non-payment of gratuity and other benefits. The report.
These are retired workers under the Nigerian Union of Pensioners drawn from the 44 local government areas of Kano State out on the streets in protest of monthly deduction of their pension and non-payment of other benefits.
Pensioners in Kano State from both state and local government areas are suffering from monthly deductions as a result of non-payment of their 100% monthly pension since January 2021. Barely 20 months at local government areas and state pensioners since March 2021, 18 months. With no cogent reason and with no hope to overcome the situation, despite several attempts by the Kano State Pension Fund trustees and Office of the Head of Civil Service to overcome the situation. Knowing fully that pensioners in the state have not enjoyed any pension increase since 2013, despite the implementation of the minimum pension and new national minimum wage in the country.
According to the Nigerian Labour Congress, many retired workers who depend on their pension for survival have lost their lives in the face of high cost of living, among other disturbances. The pensioners are therefore asking for the state government to pay their outstanding retired workers gratuity and stop the unnecessary monthly deduction of their pension as contained by law.
From January 2021 to August 2022, local government pensioners were deducted the sum of 2,573,9,049.61 out of their legitimate monthly pension, with a minimum of 13% monthly shortfall payment per pensioner in the months of October 2021 and a maximum of 26.2% in February 2022. While from March 2021 to August 2022, the sum of 906,917,595 naira 71 kobo with a minimum of 2% monthly payment shortfall in the month of September 2021 and maximum of 11.2% in August 2022 from the state pensioners' monthly entitlements.
Meanwhile, the state head of service who received the pensioners at the state government house says that Kano state government has over the years remained consistent in paying the pensioners and that the problem of pension deduction arise from the previous administration. Be that as it may, pensioners like this man who collapsed during the protest are pleading with the state government to look into their situation by settling their outstanding benefits as soon as possible. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
And on political matters, the Arewa Consultative Forum says it will not accept rigging and violence during the 2023 elections. Chairman of the forum, Audu Ogbe, said this at the National Executive Council meeting of the forum in Kaduna. While calling for local government autonomy, Ogbe also wants security agencies to do more to root out terrorists and bring an end to security challenges in the country.
The meeting commenced with observation of 1 minute silence for the National Publicity Secretary of the Forum, Emmanuel Yahweh, and former Secretary General of the Forum, Colonel Musa Shehu. Audu Ogbe, while addressing members of the Forum and the media on the state of the nation, said the forthcoming 2023 election must be credible, free and fair, as the Forum will not accept otherwise.
We want law and order to be preserved during the elections. And the ACF will not accept thuggery, rigging, or indiscipline in any shape or form during the elections, so that the choice of Nigerians and the choice of the Almighty God will come to play in our lives.
Among other issues brainstormed at the meeting is security, while commending the security agencies on some of the successes recorded in recent time. The forum calls for total elimination of criminals in the country.
I may therefore on your behalf say that we want to commend the new initiatives by the military, the police, the civil defense, Mr. President himself, in trying to contain these excesses. I think most of us will agree that they have reduced substantially. But we look forward to their total elimination. Although we regret that those steps were not taken fast enough, we thank God all the same that they've been taken.
Some of the issues contained in the communique issue after the meeting include call for government and also to shed their sword and end the strike, desire for local government autonomy, and the need to address flood that destroy crops and ravage communities in the north, among others. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The need to ensure peaceful and credible elections come 2023 was the focus of a closed-door roundtable discussion organized by the United States Institute of Peace. The session, which brought together political minds to set agenda ahead of the next year's poll, comes on the sidelines of the commencement of election campaigns. Chamung Dabeng reports.
Campaigns have begun and the 2023 general elections are fast approaching. As Nigerians prepare to cast their votes to determine the next set of leaders for the nation, there are several questions and concerns around the issue of free and fair elections. With a large percentage of Nigerians living below the poverty line, coupled with increasing insecurity, many are wondering if Nigeria can really have free and fair elections.
I'm confident that there will be credible elections if the Electoral Act is adhered to, and if all actors eschew violence, if we conduct the elections under an atmosphere of peace. Of course, you know there is so much insecurity, but with the commitment of the people, with the commitment of law enforcement agencies and the government, this can actually be addressed like they have been done in 2015.
Many have in the past questioned and criticized Nigeria's political system as well as the country's version of democracy, pointing out its dysfunctionalities and asking whether or not democracy is working for Nigeria.
Democracy is a process. Democracy is not something that you wake up and then you achieve all the requisite requirements for it to prosper. And you are aware where we are coming from, decades of military rule and instability, a lot of complexities, and you are also aware of the multiple security challenges facing this country. So all these cannot really be solved at a go. So incrementally, democracy can thrive, but we need to exercise considerable resilience and patience and do the things in a very good atmosphere, do the right things and ensure that everybody does his part. It's not just about the government, it's about the whole people, everybody doing the best he can, eschew violence, make your contribution to peace and stability in the country. We'll reach there, but it is a long, very difficult journey, but I am very confident that we can reach there.
According to political pundits, Nigeria must not only be wary of election violence, but also post-election violence to ensure that the corporate existence of Nigeria is not threatened by a political crisis post-2023. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, violence-free election is an important prerequisite for a healthy democracy in any society. It is against this backdrop that the National Orientation Agency organized a one-day political summit for political party leaders and other stakeholders. Noel Samson reports that the summit centered around campaign languages, appropriate political communication, tolerance, and political communication.
It is apt to say political violence is the hallmark of weakly institutionalized politics. The manifestation of such violence usually destabilizes the system, thereby tendering undeserved leadership. Everyone wants to win, no one wants to lose. This attitude makes supporters of various political parties to react irrationally, thus the reason for the political summit.
It can safely be claimed that party organizational strategies play key roles in strengthening the relations between parties and voters. It does not appear that more often than not, political parties and voters lack the established long-term pacts which might inform voting behavior.
Youth were then cautioned not to allow unpatriotic politicians to use them as political thugs. According to history, youths have been vulnerable to such activities over the years. You should therefore think more of being responsible citizens and follow guidelines given to them by INEC during elections.
I want to remind all of us here, or being a stakeholder of Nigeria, we don't have any other country to call our own than this great nation. So it will be ideal for all of us that please, especially the political class, let's play the game according to the rules of the game, because the INEC has spelled out what we are expected to do.
The Commission, on its part, has created the atmosphere or the environment for greater knowledge about the processes and rules. And we believe that with knowledge about the processes and rules, the tendency to violence will also diminish. So I commend you to the Commission's regulations and guidelines for the conduct of election, which is very clear about the processes.
The issue of vote buying was also addressed, as it has been seen as a virus which has eaten deep into the system.
An average Nigerian should be worried because whenever there is violence, three things happen. Number one, it dissuades investments by domestic and foreign partners. Number two, it triggers revenue loss and even resources loss to government.
Stakeholders at the summit called for the awareness creation on the importance of violence-free elections in order to be able to elect good and competent leadership. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Self-identification based on ethnic, regional, and religious affiliations among Nigerians are considered as the major factors triggering disunity among citizens. Abdullahi Kano Muhammad Angwandawaki Gombe, who made this known, said that self-identification that will cause nepotism is dangerous to any country's development. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Alhaji Abdullahi Kano Muhammad Anguan Dawaki Gombe, who is also the Galadiman Dawakin Gombe, said Nigerians should accept and respect each other's background the way they are. The elder's statement expressed concern over the attitude of some government officials who identify themselves with tribe, religion, or region. He said such attitude can lead to tremendous negative effects such as prejudice, bigotry, and all kinds of violence.
If you are in a position of responsibility and you decide to only favor your own section or your own religion or your own area, that is what we call nepotism. Once there is nepotism in the system, definitely unrest will be brewed.
Trust TV spoke to some respondents in Gombe State on how they identify themselves.
Through my movement and the kind of the culture that we have here, I want to identify myself as a Nigerian through my things that I'm doing to show that I'm a Nigerian.
That one is bad, unless if they ask you, say, from which side in Nigeria, or they ask you from which tribe or which religion, before you can identify yourself for that religion or tribe or part of the country where you come from. But personally, I'm indigenous of Gombe, but I'll just say I'm from Nigeria, if I approve. If I dey inside this country, you ask me where I come, or we'll meet me and you are for Abuja or Lagos, I will just tell you I'm from Gombe State and Nigerian indigene.
Over the years, Nigeria has been struggling to unite the country amidst diversity. However, due to the complex and unique nature of the nation, people still identify with either religion, ethnicity, or region. It is paramount, according to observers, to respect and accept each other the way they are for the development of the nation. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail, reporting for Trust TV.
Let's now take a look at business updates put together by Chamon Dabe.
As part of efforts to recover an accumulated debt of over 80 billion naira owed to them by banks, telecommunications companies under the aegis of the Association of Telecommunication Companies in Nigeria, ATCON, have said they will consider a lawsuit. The Association of Licensed Telecommunication Operators in Nigeria, ALTON, which had last week threatened to withdraw the unstructured Supplementary Service Data USSD that they offer to banks due to the debt, which has grown from 42 billion naira to 80 billion naira, is aligning with ATCON. According to the operator, since the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has failed to ensure that banks complied with the payment, taking the legal path has become necessary. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, known as OPEC Plus, agreed on Wednesday to reduce its crude production target by 2 million barrels per day starting in November. This is the largest reduction since the group reduced quotas by 9.7 million barrels per day at the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis in 2020. A production cooperation agreement extension by the coalition till the end of 2023 was also approved. By the action, Saudi Arabia takes the largest cut, while Nigeria and other countries lagging in their production output will maintain their quota. 14 out of 19 nations missed their August quotas, with the largest shortfalls occurring in Russia, Nigeria, and Kazakhstan. The federal government on Thursday announced that the long-awaited $350 million cabotage funds will be disbursed with the inauguration of the special committee by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning next week, as 11 banks have been shortlisted for the purpose. This was revealed at the 53rd session of the presidential media briefing in Abuja by the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NAFASA, Bashir Jamo. While lamenting the lack of indigenous fleets, Jamo stated that the distribution of the funds will not only improve local shipping operations, but it would help the agency's over 2,041 Nigerian seafarers find employment. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabeng.
Now, away from Nigeria, at least 17 people have died and nearly 30 were still missing after high winds sank 2 migrant vessels in Greece, the Coast Guard said on Thursday, while some survivors dramatically hoisted to safety by crane. A dinghy, believed to be carrying around 40 people, sank east of the island of Lesbos in high winds, a Coast Guard spokesman, Nikos Nokalas, told State TV, adding that the people are of apparent African origin. The bodies of 16 women and a young boy have been recovered from the area so far, the Coast Guard said. A few hours earlier, the Coast Guard was alerted to a sailboat in distress near the island of Katira. The sailboat, believed to be carrying around 95 people, ran aground and sank near the island port of Diakofti. And in sports news, the Super Falcons fell to their Japanese counterparts courtesy of 2 second-half goals from Mina Tanaka. This will be a 5th straight defeat for Randy Waldrum's side. The friendly match was part of Nigeria's preparations for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup taking place in Australia and New Zealand. Aside from a 4th place finish at the African Women's Tourney, the Super Falcons stumbled to a 2-1 defeat against the United States of America in September. The match against the former world champions saw Nigeria being outpossessed and dwarfed in shots on target, barely registering a single shot on goal. For more on business updates, Adeni Ajishafe has this packaged.
Minister of Youth and Sport Development Sunday Dare has inaugurated 14 operational subcommittees under the main organizing committee MOC of the National Sports Festival TAG Delta 2022 with a view to ensuring successful planning and participation at the 24th edition of the Games. Dare called on members of the newly inaugurated subcommittees to put in their best towards ensuring successful hosting and hitch-free National Sports Festival. Members of the subcommittees were selected on the basis of competence, relevant experience, and exposure. The minister charged the members to bring their wealth of experience to bear in the planning of the event to meet the hopes of sport-loving Nigerians. Speaking on behalf of the chairman of the subcommittees, the chairman, protocol subcommittee, and director, special duties in the ministry, Abumere Akideno, expressed the subcommittee's commitment towards ensuring a successful outing of Delta 2022. And on football, Confederation of African Football has confirmed the date, time, and venue for the upcoming next round of Champions League and Confederations Cup matches. 4 Nigerian teams started the tournament, but 3 are remaining after Remo Stars crashed out in the preliminary round. Rivers United will face defending champion Wydad Casablanca at Adoke Amesiamaka Stadium on the 9th of October by 4 p.m. League runners-up Plateau United will confront former African champion Esperance of Tunisia on the same day at MK Abiola Stadium in Abuja by 4 p.m. In the Confederations Cup, Kwara United will lock horns with defending champion RS Bakane of Morocco at Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos by 4 p.m. A win for both Rivers United and Plateau United will take them to the group stage of the Champions League, while a defeat will drop them to the playoff of the Confederations Cup. Victory will also take Kwara United to the final round of Confederations qualifiers, while a defeat automatically eliminates them. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
Sports updates by our very own Adeni Ajishafe. And that wraps up the News Hour on Trust Television. You can watch more via all our social media platforms. Remember, you can watch us live on YouTube as well. I am Ayuba Ile. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.